dismissed as primitives. The Perseverance moved through the void of space like a silver needle threading through black silk. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the massive structure grow larger on the main screen. The Galactic Federation's central station was a marvel of engineering that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. Spanning nearly 50 kilometers across, the station resembled a crystalline flower with thousands of petals, each one housing different species from across the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the communications station. "They're directing us to docking bay 7742. Elena raised an eyebrow. "That's quite a number. Where exactly is bay 7742 located?" Lieutenant Kim's fingers danced across her console. "According to the station schematics, it's in the Outer Rim, subsection Delta. The bay is typically used for cargo vessels and maintenance shuttles." Dr. Marcus Chen, humanity's chief ambassador, stepped forward from where he had been studying his notes. His silver hair was perfectly groomed, and his formal diplomatic attire showed no wrinkles despite the long journey. "They're making a statement," he said quietly, "putting us with the service vessels instead of the diplomatic bays." Elena nodded grimly. "Well, Doctor, I suppose we'll have to change their minds about where we belong." The docking process took nearly an hour. As the Perseverance settled into the cramped bay, Elena could see alien workers moving about, their various forms creating a strange ballet of different evolutionary paths. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Some floated through the air, while others seemed to phase in and out of solid matter. "Remember," Dr. Chen addressed the small human delegation, "we're here to represent all of humanity. Every word we speak, every action we take, reflects on our entire species. Today we prove that humanity deserves a place among the stars." The airlock hissed open, and the humans stepped into the station. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents and the sound of dozens of different languages being spoken simultaneously. A tall crystalline being approached them, its faceted surface reflecting the station's lights like a living prism. "I am Coordinator Zeflex." The being spoke, its voice echoing as if from a great distance. "You are the human delegation, correct?" "Yes," Dr. Chen replied with a diplomatic smile. "I am Ambassador Marcus Chen, and this is Captain Elena Rodriguez. We're honored to be here." Zeflex made a sound that might have been amusement. "Follow me. The council is curious about your species." They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. The architecture was unlike anything on Earth, with walls that curved and twisted in ways that defied human understanding of physics. Alien beings of every conceivable shape and size moved about their business, many stopping to stare at the humans as they passed. Elena noticed the whispers and pointing. Some aliens seemed amused, others appeared puzzled, and a few looked genuinely concerned. The humans were clearly an oddity here, something to be examined rather than respected. The council chamber was vast beyond imagination. Thousands of seats arranged in ascending spirals housed representatives from across the galaxy. The center of the chamber featured a raised platform where speakers could address the assembly. The noise was overwhelming as hundreds of different species communicated in their native languages. "You will speak from there," Zeflex indicated the central platform. "Try to be efficient with your time." Dr. Chen stepped onto the platform, and gradually, the chamber fell silent. Thousands of alien eyes, sensors, and other sensory organs focused on the lone human figure. He cleared his throat and began. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Federation, I stand before you today representing humanity and our home world, Earth. We come seeking membership in this great alliance, hoping to contribute to the peace and prosperity of the galaxy." He activated a holographic display that showed images of Earth and human achievements. "Humanity has accomplished remarkable things in our relatively short time as a spacefaring species. We have harnessed the power of the atom, traveled to other worlds in our solar system, and developed technologies that have improved life for billions of our people. A sound like grinding stone emerged from the reptilian section of the chamber. General Krex, a massive saurian with scarred hide and cold yellow eyes, stood up. Travel to other worlds. You mean the small rocky bodies in your own star system. My people were exploring other galaxies when your species was still learning to make fire. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Dr. Chen's cheeks flushed slightly, but he continued. It's true that we are young compared to many of your species, but we believe our fresh perspective and innovative thinking could benefit the Federation. A chittering sound came from the insectoid section. Trade Minister Vilox, her compound eyes glittering with amusement, spoke in a voice like rustling leaves. Innovative thinking. Your species still uses chemical propulsion for space travel. We abandoned such primitive methods millions of years ago. More laughter filled the chamber. Belina felt her hands clench into fists, but she remained still. Dr. Chen tried again. While our technology may seem primitive to you, we have other qualities that could be valuable. Humanity has shown remarkable adaptability and resilience. We have survived ice ages, natural disasters, and conflicts that would have destroyed lesser species. High Counselor Zephyros, an ancient being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with what might have been amusement. Resilience? Your average lifespan is barely a century. I have existed for over 50,000 years. What could such short-lived creatures possibly teach us about survival? The chamber erupted in what could only be described as galactic laughter. Beings of every shape and size expressed their amusement in their own ways. Some made sounds, others changed colors, and a few seemed to phase between dimensions. Scholar Thinis, an ancient crystalline being whose faceted form had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, spoke in a voice like wind chimes. Perhaps these humans could serve as entertainers. Their earnest attempts at diplomacy are quite amusing. Or manual laborers, suggested General Krex. They seem sturdy enough for simple physical tasks. I hear they're quite good at agriculture, added Trade Minister Vilox. They could tend our food production facilities. Delina stepped forward before Dr. Chen could respond. The chamber fell silent as the human captain approached the platform. There was something in her bearing, a quiet confidence that seemed to command attention. You mistake our youth for weakness, Alina said, her voice carrying clearly across the vast chamber. You assume that because we are new to the galactic stage, we have nothing to offer. You look at our chemical rockets and see primitives. You hear our short lifespans and see creatures barely worth your notice. She paused, letting her words sink in. But in your vast experience and ancient wisdom, you've forgotten something important. The young are not burdened by the weight of impossible. We don't know what can't be done, so we find ways to do it anyway. High Counselor Zephyros pulsed brighter. Are you suggesting that your ignorance is somehow an advantage? I'm suggesting that your assumptions may be more dangerous than you realize, Elena replied calmly. You've spent so long being the masters of the galaxy that you've forgotten what it feels like to be hungry, to be desperate, to have everything to prove and nothing to lose. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the background hum of the station's systems seemed muted. General Krex leaned forward, his scared face showing interest for the first time. Is that a threat, little human? Elena smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. It's an observation. You see primitives where you should see potential. You see weakness where you should see determination. You see a species that still fights wars and think we're barbarians, but you don't see that we're a species that learns from every conflict, that adapts to every challenge. She looked around the chamber, meeting the gaze of as many representatives as possible. You're right about one thing, though. We are young. We are new to this galaxy. We don't have your ancient wisdom or your advanced technology, but we have something you've forgotten how to be. And what is that? Asked Scholar Thinis. Dangerous when underestimated. The silence stretched for long moments. Then High Counselor Zephyros spoke, his energy form dimming slightly. The Council has heard enough. We appreciate your enthusiasm, but the Galactic Federation requires more than bold words. Perhaps in a few millennia, when your species has matured, you might be ready to join civilized society. Until then, added Trade Minister Velox, you're welcome to remain in your small corner of the galaxy. We'll contact you if we need anything. The dismissal was clear and final. Dr. Chen gathered his materials with trembling hands, his face pale with humiliation. The human delegation was escorted from the chamber amid renewed laughter and whispered comments. As they walked back through the corridors toward their ship, Alina noticed that some aliens were no longer laughing. A few watched the humans with what might have been curiosity, and others seemed thoughtful. Her words had reached someone, even if they hadn't changed the outcome. What happens now? Dr. Chen asked quietly as they reached the Perseverance. Alina looked back at the massive station, at the thousands of lights representing species from across the galaxy. Now we go home, Marcus. We go home and show them what humans do when they're told they're not good enough. And what's that? Alina's smile was sharp as a blade. We prove them wrong. As the Perseverance undocked from the station and began its journey back to Earth, Alina stood on the bridge watching the Federation's headquarters shrink behind them. The aliens had made their position clear. Humanity was not welcome among the stars. They were too young, too primitive, too weak to matter. But Alina knew something the aliens didn't. Throughout human history, every time someone had told humanity they couldn't do something, they had found a way to do it anyway. Every time they had been underestimated, they had exceeded expectations. Every time they had been dismissed as primitives, they had surprised everyone with their ingenuity and determination. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you pushed humanity into a corner. They were about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one who has nothing left to lose and everything to prove. As Earth grew larger on the view screen, Alina began to plan. The aliens wanted to see what humanity was truly capable of. She would show them, but not in the way they expected, and not until they were ready to listen. The real game was just beginning. The Watchers reveal themselves. 6 months had passed since humanity's humiliation at the Galactic Federation. To the alien powers that ruled the galaxy, it seemed the primitive humans had learned their lesson and retreated to their insignificant corner of space. Earth's communications had gone quiet. Their few exploration vessels had stopped venturing beyond their solar system, and the entire species appeared to have accepted their place as galactic nobodies. High Counselor Zephyros pulsed with satisfaction as he reviewed the intelligence reports in his crystalline chamber high above the Federation station. The humans have shown wisdom in accepting their limitations, he transmitted to his advisors. Perhaps there is hope for them after all, given sufficient time to evolve. General Krex disagreed, his scared reptilian face twisting into what passed for a smile among his people. They were broken too easily. I expected more fight from a species that claims to be so resilient. They're weaker than we thought. Trade Minister Velox chittered her amusement. The economic projections were correct. Without access to galactic trade routes and technology, their expansion has completely stalled. They'll remain trapped in their home system for centuries. None of them suspected that at that very moment, invisible human ships were passing within a few kilometers of the Federation station, their crews observing and recording everything with technology the aliens couldn't even detect. Colonel James Turner floated in the zero gravity of his ship's observation deck, watching the massive alien station through sensors that made his vessel completely undetectable. The Silent Observer was one of 12 stealth ships that had been secretly built in the asteroid belt, while the galaxy assumed humanity was licking its wounds. Status report. Turner spoke into his communicator. All observation posts are active and undetected, came the reply from Lieutenant Commander Park aboard another hidden vessel. The aliens have no idea we're here. Turner smiled grimly. While the Galactic Federation had been congratulating themselves on putting humanity in its place, human engineers and scientists had been working around the clock on projects that would have terrified the aliens if they had known about them. The key had been the alien technology that humanity had been secretly studying for decades. The truth was that Earth had been visited by alien scouts many times over the centuries. What the Federation didn't know was that humans had recovered crashed alien probes, captured scout vessels, and reverse-engineered technology that the galactic powers assumed was far beyond human comprehension. Humanity had been watching and learning long before they ever announced their presence to the galaxy. "Colonel," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving the activation signal from Admiral Mitchell." Turner's expression hardened. "Understood. Signal all units. Operation Revelation begins now." Across the galaxy, hidden human teams received the same message simultaneously. Captain Rodriguez, now commanding the secret fleet from a hidden base in an asteroid field, watched as dozens of green lights appeared on her tactical display. Each light represented a human team that had been positioned near critical Federation installations for months. "All teams report ready," announced her tactical officer, Commander Sarah Mitchell, daughter of the admiral who had planned this entire operation. "Stealth fields are active, quantum jammers are in position, and strike teams are standing by." Elena nodded. "Begin Phase 1. Show them that Earth has been watching." Light years away, Scholar Phineas was analyzing ancient galactic history in his laboratory when every piece of advanced equipment in the facility suddenly shut down. Emergency lighting flickered on as the crystalline being's research came to an abrupt halt. "What is the meaning of this?" Phineas demanded of his assistants. "Run a diagnostic on all systems immediately." Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy as Federation military bases, research stations, and communication hubs experienced simultaneous system failures. The failures were surgical and precise, affecting only the most advanced quantum-based technologies, while leaving basic systems operational. General Krex stormed into the Federation's military command center as alarms blared throughout the station. "Report. What's happening to our networks?" "Sir, we're experiencing cascading failures across all sectors," reported his aide, a nervous Centaurian whose tentacles were quivering with stress. "Our quantum communication arrays are down, long-range sensors are offline, and our fastest ships are dead in space." "How is that possible?" "Our quantum technology is thousands of years advanced beyond anything in this galaxy." Before anyone could answer, every screen in the command center flickered to life. A human face appeared, calm and professional. It was Admiral Sarah Mitchell, speaking from Earth. "Greetings, members of the Galactic Federation. I am Admiral Sarah Mitchell of the Earth Defense Force. You are no doubt wondering about the current technical difficulties you're experiencing." General Krex's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. Humans don't have the technology to interfere with our systems." Admiral Mitchell smiled as if she had heard the question. "You're correct that we didn't have that technology 6 months ago. However, you made a critical error in your assessment of humanity. You assumed that because we were new to the galactic stage, we had only recently developed space travel. The image changed to show detailed schematics of alien technology that the Federation had never shared with anyone. The truth is that your people have been visiting Earth for centuries. Did you really think we wouldn't notice? Did you assume we were too primitive to study the wreckage of your scout ships when they crashed? Too ignorant to analyze the technology in your abandoned probes?" Scholar Phineas watched the broadcast from his darkened laboratory, his crystalline form resonating with something that might have been fear. "They've been studying us. For how long?" Admiral Mitchell continued as if answering his question. "We've been watching and learning for over 200 years. Every piece of technology you've lost in our system, every probe you sent to study us, every scout vessel that suffered mechanical failure, we recovered and analyzed. We reverse-engineered your quantum drives, your communication systems, your weapons technology." The image shifted to show hidden human bases throughout the galaxy, installations that had been built in secret over the past decade. What you see as recent expansion into space is actually the culmination of centuries of preparation. While you were dismissing us as primitives, we were building a network that spans half the galaxy. High Counselor Zephyros pulsed with urgent energy as he transmitted to the command center. How many installations do they have? How many ships? The answer came not from his subordinates, but from Captain Alina Rodriguez, whose face now appeared on the screens. More than you can imagine, and fewer than you fear. We didn't build this network to conquer the galaxy, Counselor. We built it to prove a point. And what point is that? General Krex snarled. That your assumptions about humanity were dangerously wrong, Alina replied. You saw chemical rockets and assumed we were centuries behind you technologically. You never considered that we might be using those rockets to hide our real capabilities. The displays now showed sleek human vessels emerging from stealth fields throughout Federation space. They were clearly advanced, incorporating design elements that were obviously based on alien technology, but improved in ways that made Federation engineers take notice. You saw our short lifespans and assumed we lacked wisdom, Alina continued. But short lives can also mean urgency, focus, and the ability to make progress quickly rather than being paralyzed by the weight of tradition. Commander Vilox chittered nervously as she watched human ships take positions around Federation trade routes. What do they want? Are they attacking? Alina shook her head. We're not here to attack anyone. We're here to demonstrate that humanity has earned the right to be treated as equals. Your quantum systems will be restored within the hour, and our ships will return to their bases. But first, we want to make sure you understand what just happened. Colonel Turner's voice joined the broadcast from his hidden position near the Federation station. In the past 6 months, we've had teams within striking distance of every major Federation installation. We've monitored your communications, studied your defenses, and positioned assets throughout your territory. If we had hostile intentions, this conversation would be very different. The implications were staggering. A species the Federation had dismissed as primitive had essentially infiltrated their entire civilization without being detected. Scholar Phineas was the first to grasp the full scope of what humanity had accomplished. They've been invisible in our space for months, possibly years. They have technology we don't understand and capabilities we never suspected. Admiral Mitchell reappeared on the screens. We understand that this demonstration might be unsettling. That wasn't our intention. We simply wanted to prove that humanity deserves to be evaluated based on our actual capabilities, not your assumptions about our limitations. What do you want? High Counselor Zephyros finally asked, his energy form flickering with what might have been respect for the first time. Captain Rodriguez answered, the same thing we wanted 6 months ago. Membership in the Galactic Federation. But this time, we'd like to be considered as equals rather than curiosities. The silence that followed was profound. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Federation faced a species that had surprised them completely. Humanity had demonstrated not just advanced technology, but strategic thinking, patience, and capabilities that exceeded anything in Federation records. General Krex was the first to break the silence. How do we know you won't use these capabilities against us? Alina's expression softened slightly. Because despite everything that's happened, we still want to be part of the galactic community, not its conqueror. We could have disabled your defenses permanently, but we chose to make them temporary. We could have remained hidden, but we chose to reveal ourselves. We could have demanded membership through force, but we're still asking for it through demonstration. Trade Minister Vilox found her voice. The economic implications. If humanity has been developing in secret for centuries, their true capabilities might rival our own. They might exceed our own, Scholar Phineas admitted reluctantly. They've taken our technology and improved it in ways we never considered. Their quantum jammers alone represent theoretical advances we thought were impossible. High Counselor Zephyros pulsed thoughtfully. You've made your point, humans, but this demonstration raises as many questions as it answers. How do we know you can be trusted with membership? How do we know this isn't just the beginning of an expansion that will threaten established powers? Admiral Mitchell smiled. Because, Counselor, if we wanted to threaten established powers, we wouldn't have asked permission first. We're revealing our capabilities now because we want to build trust, not destroy it. We want to work with the Federation, not replace it." Colonel Turner added, "We've been watching you for months, studying not just your technology, but your cultures, your values, your conflicts. We know which species are expansionist and which are peaceful. We know which ones can be trusted and which ones require careful monitoring. We've already demonstrated that we can be patient, strategic, and respectful of existing boundaries." The Federation representatives exchanged glances, communications, and energy pulses. The humans had fundamentally changed the galactic balance of power in a single demonstration, but they had done so in a way that offered cooperation rather than conquest. Scholar Phineas spoke carefully. "If the Council were to reconsider humanity's application for membership, what assurances could you provide that this network of yours won't be used for aggressive expansion?" Elena Rodriguez looked directly at the crystalline being. "The same assurances you provide to each other, Scholar. Mutual oversight, shared responsibilities, and the understanding that any species capable of building what we've built is also capable of defending itself if attacked." She paused, letting that sink in. "We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be part of it. But we want to be part of it as equals, not as junior members who have to prove their worth by accepting insults and condescension." High Counselor Zephyros finally responded after a long consultation with his advisors. "The Federation Council will reconvene to discuss humanity's membership application. This time, the discussion will be more thorough." Admiral Mitchell nodded. "We appreciate that, Counselor. We'll withdraw our teams and restore your systems, but we hope you understand that humanity has changed. We're not the same species that asked for membership 6 months ago." "How so?" asked General Krex. Captain Rodriguez answered, 6 months ago, we were asking for acceptance. Today, we're offering alliance. The difference is significant." As the broadcast ended and Federation systems began coming back online, the aliens found themselves facing a galaxy that had fundamentally changed. Humanity had proven that they were not the primitives they appeared to be, but something far more dangerous and far more valuable. A species that could surprise even the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. The real question now was whether the Federation would be wise enough to accept them as allies, or foolish enough to see them as a threat. Given humanity's demonstrated capabilities, the wrong choice could have consequences that would reshape the galaxy forever. Scholar Phineas sat in his restored laboratory, contemplating the implications of what he had witnessed. The young species that had been dismissed as entertainers had just demonstrated that they were potentially the most sophisticated civilization the galaxy had ever encountered. They had been watching, learning, and preparing while everyone else assumed they were harmless. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.